Morning, you lot, and it is morning because yesterday I failed. On the 1st of January, I said I'm going to do a 10-minute or sub 10-minute video every single day. 19 days in or 18 days in, I didn't do it. And you're going, oh my God, Brad, but you're a man of your word. You're right. I actually, see, it's morning. I absolutely am. But on occasion, things change. There are going to be circumstances in your life and in your business where your plan and the best intended plans don't work out. Now, you can do one or two things here. One, you can beat yourself up that your best intended plan didn't work out. I'm going to get married by the time I'm 30. I'm going to be a millionaire by the time I'm 40. I'm going to whatever. And it doesn't work out. And then you spend time, ruminating about how it didn't happen and this, that, and the other. Stop. I go back down to this whole thing is that what we end up doing in our life, if you imagine like a ping pong, whatever they're called, table thing, ping pong table. Yeah? And over here is the past and over here is the future. We spend so much time just flim-flamming between the past, flim-flamming between the future. We never spend any time actually on the net, just there. And that's what's dangerous. So yesterday I made the decision. And that's why I say, did I fail or did I succeed? I made the decision that something was more important yesterday than doing a 10-minute video. And you're thinking, what? Why can't you do a 10-minute video? It's only 10 minutes. Well, it's not really 10 minutes. You've got to set it all up and blah, 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 blah. But I made the decision yesterday that actually I have a load of slack in my day. And that slack just eroded again. Okay, so I've got lots of videos to do. I've got a friend of mine I've not seen for 3 years came over. We went out for a meal last night as a collective. I made the decision that was more important than me doing a video for the 40 people who tune in on a daily basis. Currently, it is growing. Right, so I made a decision, and this is what you need to do. You need to accept that on occasion there's going to be times when your plan has to change. There's going to be times in your world, in your day, that your best laid plans go out the window. And the idea is that you don't waste any more time whining about the fact that a plan didn't go to plan. And actually what this is about losing its heaviness. So just think what I just said there, lose its heaviness about a decision. So the video, nobody's died, right? But I had an amazing meal last night. And what you've got to do with these kind of things is free your mind from the prison that you create yourself. What you believe that what life's about, or what your plan is about, that actually it didn't happen, so you got yourself heavy. Stop it, lose it, next, move on. Right, the other thing I'm going to point about today is that so last night I went to a restaurant, had an amazing meal, and I also had a dessert. Spoonful of dessert, rock and roll now. When I'm 48, you've got to behave yourself somewhat. The reason I say that is it's amazing food, like, calorific and whatever. What would your life look like if you ate calorific food day in, day out? Imagine that you had cakes. All right, there we go, for the sake of this conversation. If you just ate cakes all day long, like just started eating cakes. First day, not a problem. Week on, not a problem. A couple of weeks on, you start feeling lethargic, you start putting weight on, you start getting bigger, and so forth. Imagine doing that for a year. What would your life look like? Imagine doing that for 40 years. What would your life look like? Okay, so you kind of got that there. And you think, well, why would anyone do that? Because what we do, we don't think in the long term, we think in the short term. So we do everything in the short term. We're all guilty of it. Stimulation, that's what we all want. We're so busy being busy that we fill every moment of our day and amount of time up with stuff. And it's almost like any kind of silent or quiet time is a wasted time. I used to say I'll sleep when I die. Ridiculous. Anyway, just talk about cakes, right? If you consume cakes all day. So you can see what your life would look like. What would happen if you consumed coffee all day, right? Coffee all day. First day would be great fun. Second day would be great fun. 3 or 4 days in, you'd start not sleeping right. You start having dehydration in your skin and so forth. And imagine doing that, just coffee, no water, for a protracted period of time. You create yourself some problems, big problems. Now, that's what we consume in terms of what we eat and what we're thinking. Imagine if you consumed terrible, negative news for a day. And imagine doing it for a week. Imagine doing it for a year. At some point, what would happen is that terrible news would become used to it. So it wouldn't be so terrible anymore. That when you first started, it was terrible. But you kind of get used to it. And what happens is your levels of dealing with stuff becomes more acceptable. So you start not upping the ante, but you start getting more used to terrible news, and it as just standard. But we're not only what we consume, eat or drink. It's actually what we see and hear as well. If you are tuned in to news every single day, 24-hour news, or just going on news all day long, that's going to have an impact on your life and your thinking. You know, a positive mindset doesn't solve everything. It doesn't, but it helps. I am now day 19, I think, of no news. I'm not tuned into the news, not once. I've had a few people send me news stories, and I've not clicked, or they've told me something. But the point I'm making is this: you are what you consume. And actually what we end up becoming is prisoners of our own thoughts, in the same way that if you eat, you become a prisoner of your own body. And this is what you need to recognize yourself. Lose the heaviness in your thinking. Lose the heaviness about what you consume, because no good comes from it. I would rather be uninformed and happy than informed and miserable. And somebody said to me, "Oh yeah, you're just playing an illusion." That's what somebody said to me, like with this. You know, I said, "Oh, well, that concept's nice, but it's just an illusion because it's not the real world." I said, "No, you think the world that you're being fed, because that's the reality of it. If you think about what I said before about, you know, eating cakes all day, you are almost allowing yourself to be fed by media or whatever, right? You know, whatever somebody else decides that you need to see or need to consume. You don't, you know, consume your world, consume positive." And I think it's all connected. I think it's all connected. So you might have had a plan today. That plan was to consume lots of news. I said from the outset that plans change and things change based on circumstances. If I was to give you, let's say for the sake of this argument, whatever time that you spend on the news on a daily basis, whether it's the Mail Online, whether it's watching telly, watching 24-hour news or whatever it is, if I was to give you that time back, if I was to give you, let's say you spend 40 minutes, 40 minutes a day consuming news, negative news, what would you do with that 40 minutes? What would you do with that 40 minutes that could be more useful? And you think about that 40 minutes and you think to yourself, well, 40 minutes today, 40 minutes tomorrow, 40 minutes. You see the point? Times that by a week. Can't even be bothered doing Manchester maths. I reckon it's probably 5 hours. 5 hours a week, 20 hours a month. Did math. 20 hours a month, 240, 280, 280 hours a year consuming negative stuff that doesn't serve you or nourish you in any way. 240 hours a year, right? I don't know, maybe 8 days that is, or whatever it is, right? 240 hours, 10 days, of course. 10 days a year that you consume stuff that doesn't nourish you in any way or form. Why would you do that? As I said from the outset, that plans change. I made a decision yesterday to not stick to the plan, that actually something was more useful use of my time. That, boys and girls, is the message behind today's video. That actually maybe, just maybe, there's a priority here that you would be better spent, your time, give a load of consideration about where you spend your money. Maybe, just maybe, you need to give as much consideration about where you spend your time. I would rather be uninformed and happy than informed and miserable. You got a decision to make, just like I did yesterday. Have an amazing day.